If you're thinking about going to trade school, I have been to trade school twice, and I have a lot of experiences to share and hopefully value to add. If you don't know who I am, my name is Taylor. I am a plumbing contractor and a mechanical journeyman. I went to trade school for both trades during that time. If you're considering trade school, I'm going to tell you what it actually does for your career. The first time I did trade school was through the high school VOTEC program. A lot of public high schools have partnering trade schools to where they can let students who are interested in the trades get into them. If that's your point in life, this is a fantastic option because you have nothing to lose at this point, right? Maybe you don't want to end up working in the trade that you went to school for. Well, college is right around the corner if that's what you want to do. With that in mind, though, I was so young and not really focused on wanting to be an adult that my absorption of knowledge was limited. I don't know if that's going to be for everybody, but I'm sure that there's a lot of 16-year-olds who are just winging it. Okay? It took a year, it took 2 years, it took 2.5 days. The first half of the day on the first year, and then on the senior year it was the second half of the day. So it's a 2-year program for high schoolers usually. The adult programs are compressed into 1-year timelines, so you're there from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. During the daytime program. And the amazing thing is in most states, the trade school accelerates your path to licensure. So that's the fantastic part, right? So yes, ultimately it leads you to the goal of, those career goals and, to an extent those financial goals a lot quicker. That is a great positive. Unfortunately, a lot of stigmatisms are true, but they're not your fault. Okay. So when you have a 45-year-old veteran who's been in anywhere from 15 to 25 years, and and they figure out that in either case, in a year's time or 2 years time max, you're gonna have exactly what they had, and you came out bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 18 years old. They're going to put you under the microscope. A lot of times this is an internal sense of validation and credibility standard for them, right? Unfortunately, some of the older dogs can be washed in the blue collar world because you're allowed to be. That's the beauty of this, right? Is 8 times out of 10 there's really not a true HR department, right? You can get away with being yourself because there's nobody else out there who has a license, because the shortages really dictate where you can go. And these are the pros and cons of the high school program in particular. Now moving on to the adult program. Adult day programs are, again, they're compressed into the year, right? The issue in that case is, at that point as an adult, you are missing out on field time. So my experience in the actual program, I would say I learned vocabulary. I did learn how to navigate a code book, and that is one of those fundamentals that the guys who will give you the pushback, some guys take 10 times to pass their code test. But the reality is, if you give that code book 20 hours of your time over a 2 or 3 week span, you will most likely pass it your first time. It's really about information pattern recognition and memory. It's an open book test. VOTEC will help you out with that. Again though, my experience through my first route at plumbing, it did not make me fast, it did not make me great, it did not make me competent. The double-edged sword is honestly, when you get into the program, they're typically really easy to pass, right? Ultimately, you really just have your attendance, and then, just make sure you're studying what's up to par. But what's up to par to the system does not guarantee any real field insight. Now, you can take advantage of your actual shop time. I would say book time to shop time can be anywhere from 30% book to 70% shop, to the inverse, 70% book to 30% shop. It just depends on the topic and projects going on. When I went back to Votech the second time, I was a journeyman for, I was going on my third year as a journeyman, and I felt like I had more to give, because actually the narrative I was describing of these washed up guys, I thought to myself, is this it? I was 24 at the time. I thought to myself, is this it? Is this what we're gonna do for the rest of our life? And I thought, well, I'm 24. I think I have more to learn. I have a lot more growth to do. This time, it was during the night class. Now, the structured advantages of the night school itself changed the game completely, in my opinion. Because in the state of Oklahoma and many other states, it is a 3-year apprenticeship. Votech takes away 2 of those years. The nighttime program is 12 months compressed full-time or 18 months compressed part-time. The full-time program I was in at night, or I was in the part-time program, the full-time program was 3 o'clock to 9:45. The part-time program was 5 o'clock to 9:45. But again, you spread it out an additional 6 months. The advantages of that is you can be employed concurrently. So while you're going to school at night, you can be in the field during the day. And then, in most circumstances, by the time you finish school, you will be eligible to become a journeyman that day and take your test. And like I said, you have all the time to study. I do feel like ultimately, if in your last few months of Votech, once you've got most of your projects wrapped up, if you gave that book everything you had, you could confidently walk out of the program becoming a journeyman, which is awesome because we need so many of them, and the pays well. It builds resilience. It builds leadership skills. It builds a career arc. It adds pressure to your life, but pressure makes diamonds. Now, what are the cons of it? Well, I was working in the field at the time. I'm a supervisor now. I'm mostly hands off, which I am not going to complain about that anytime soon. I was waking up at 5, going in at 6:30, and then doing top outs. So I would be covered in primer. Sometimes I would get sawdust in my eyes, so my eyes would be puffy. Covered in oil, sometimes sweating, and then, in the world of construction, you have to get done. So in order for, me to not cause any problems, I really had to extend it all the way to that 4:30 window, just enough time to get to school. And then I had to work hard to make sure, because, and this isn't everybody's obstacle, but it could absolutely be the case where you go up to your boss and say, hey, I'm going into the program, I need off at 5. Well, the issue is if you have bad days due to misscheduling, mismanagement, which again in the lower brackets isn't always your fault, because you might be riding around with a journeyman, so you may not be able to dictate those issues. I'm just saying that it brings tension. So there has to be careful planning to these things, right? No one is going to hand you a career. So the benefit is if you're in any sizable metro, You definitely have dozens of different companies that want different things out of you and that can work with you. It was awesome. In heating and air school, when I knew what I was getting into, I learned so much. Um, I got to change out blower motors, uh, learn furnace ignition sequences, change out compressors, a lot of brazing. My instructor, he said that was like, his best trait in the field during his tenure. Um, a lot of charging. And we would do regular systems in heating and air, the regular systems you see outside your house. But more often than not, because they were so easy, we would do the little window units. But the whole system is there, and it's easier to visualize a system when it's all in front of you and compact. So it's giving you a little play-by-play of what's going on, and then you transfer that out to regular units, and you're basically just expanding it and adding more parts and mechanisms to make the system bigger. Here I sit with a great opportunity to not only continue a career in a place where I'm valued, to have 2 licenses as a supervisor. It doubles my workload. It adds a lot of value, and in the meantime, while that's approaching, I will be able to work on my own hustles and hopefully get some new build contracts. It's one call at a time. Again, nobody's gonna hand you a career. If you're willing to work for it, it will pay you back. If you want more talk about the trades, businesses, or building something from scratch, you'll probably like what I'm posting here. Feel free to check out more videos. Thank you guys for your time.